What if I told you some of the world's greatest successes were born from failure? Wars lost, experiments gone wrong, and leaders humiliated. Yet, these failures didn't end the story. They rewrote it and reshaped history forever. Stay with me, because today we count down 7 famous failures. Moments that looked disastrous at the time, but became turning points that changed the world. The Titanic was called unsinkable. But we all know how the story ends. An iceberg struck. Thousands of lighters lost. A global tragedy that shook modern society. But here's the twist. This failure saved lives. It triggered major safety reforms for ships. International rules on lifeboats, radios, and patrols were born. The Titanic sank, but a passenger safety rose. A failure that forced the world to change. Napoleon leads his army into Russia. His empire stretched across Europe, unstoppable and feared. But winter came, and supplies ran thin. The Grande Armée collapsed under freezing conditions. Hundreds of thousands perished in retreat. It looked like a personal disaster for Napoleon. But history saw it differently. That failure weakened French dominance permanently. It gave rivals the chance to rise. And it shifted Europe's balance of power forever. In 1986, millions watched a shuttle launch live. The Challenger roared into the sky, a symbol of hope. 73 seconds later, it tragically exploded. 7 astronauts were lost, including a beloved teacher. America was stunned, mourning in disbelief and shock. But this failure sparked a massive change in NASA. They overhauled engineering, communication, and safety protocols. Future space missions became safer and stronger as a result. From this tragedy came progress that reached the stars. A heartbreaking failure that still inspires innovation today. For decades, the Berlin Wall symbolized division in Europe. East and West were split by ideology and fear. Leaders on both sides clung to their control fiercely. But then, a mistake changed everything in 1989. An East German official misspoke, announcing open borders. Crowds rushed to the wall, tearing it down in unity. A regime collapsed from its own misstep, leading to freedom. This failure ended the Cold War era for good. It reunified a nation, reshaping Europe forever. Not every failure destroys. Some failures build a legacy. Thomas Edison famously failed 1,000 times in his quest. His mission was to invent the electric light bulb, a game changer. People mocked him, calling him obsessed with his work. But Edison saw failure differently, as a stepping stone. He famously said, "I found 1,000 ways that don't work." In 1879, he finally succeeded, changing history forever. Electric light reshaped homes, cities, and industries worldwide. Without countless failures, the world would remain dark. Sometimes, persistence turns disaster into groundbreaking invention. In 1961, America attempted to topple Fidel Castro. The plan was daring, but deeply flawed. Cuban exiles were trained, weapons supplied, and hopes were high. However, the invasion failed within just 3 days. The United States appeared weak on the world stage after the failure. President Kennedy took full responsibility for the disaster. From this failure emerged important lessons for the future. It reshaped American foreign policy in significant ways. Ironically, it strengthened Castro's power in Cuba. This blunder shifted the balance of the Cold War. Before flight changed the world, it was filled with failures. The Wright brothers built, tested, and crashed their planes repeatedly. Their aircraft broke apart time and again, drawing laughter from skeptics. People mocked them, saying, "Man will never fly." Yet, they never stopped learning from their mistakes. In 1903, they finally achieved their first flight. That brief moment transformed human history forever. Airplanes began to connect the world in unimaginable ways. Every crash was a crucial step toward the sky. Failure literally gave birth to the age of flight. These are 7 famous failures that changed the world forever. From sunken ships to failed invasions, each disaster carried lessons. Because failure isn't the end, it's often the turning point. If you enjoyed this journey, my next video will reveal the greatest accidental discoveries in history. So hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more. Sometimes, failure is just the first step toward changing the world.